You are listening to the Loida Lewis podcast, hosted by Loida Nicolas Lewis. She's a trailblazing businesswoman, leader, philanthropist, and the widow of Reginald F. Lewis, the visionary leader who was the first African American to build a billion-dollar company. With unparalleled determination, Loida Lewis has not only excelled as a successful attorney, but also shaped a billion-dollar empire. Following the untimely passing of her husband, Reginald F. Lewis, she took the helm of TLC Beatrice, carving her legacy as a successful business leader. Be inspired and learn from her as she shares her wisdom, the secrets to her success in both business, in love, and in life. Let's live, love, laugh, and learn. With your host, Miss Loida Lewis.
Welcome to the Loida Lewis podcast. Live, love, laugh, and learn with me. And today, I have the great honor to have the first Filipino, the first Asian to be in a Broadway musical, Chicago. It's been around for 25 years, but just last week, he started to occupy the position of Amos Hart. So, here we are with Red Concepcion, who is in Chicago as the first Filipino, the first Asian actor on Chicago Broadway musical. Thank you very much for being here.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you. I'm very glad to be here.
Yes. Well, first of all, my first question is, how was the process? That of all, I know that in order to get a role, you have to have audition. So can you just bring us to that process where they said, of the 10 or 20, whoever registered, you're the one?
So I went to an EPA.
Explain that, what's
an
EPA?
EPA is an equity principal audition. So it's basically an open call for equity actors. I just moved here.
Now,
yes.
Equity means to say he is a member of the equity union.
Yes.
And you cannot go to an EPA if you are not a member of the union. Okay.
Yes. So I as a union member, so I went to the EPA. I had just moved to New York from LA like 6 months ago to this day. And so I went to the EPA. I was feeling very depressed that day, actually, because I had just moved to New York and I was kind of a little anxious about the move. Did I make the right decision to move? So I was like about to I was like, I'm just going to stay in bed. I feel very sad today. I don't want to do the audition. But that's the job. The job is to audition, to go find, work if you don't. So I managed to pry myself off to bed. I went to the audition and I didn't even have a slot. But I was hoping that there was no slot so I could just go to bed. I don't know. You've had days like that,
yes,
right?
Yes,
where you're
yes.
you just don't feel it.
Yes.
And you just want to stay in bed. But I was like, I went, and then I was hoping that there was a slot. There wasn't a slot, so I could just go home. But there was a slot, so I was like, well, I'm already here. I might as well. I'll do it. So I went there and I sang, and they made me sing again. I sang a song from The Life, which is
How does it start?
You're gonna make me sing. It's a song called "Use What You Got," which is
this is great.
It's great. It's
Yes.
a fantastic song and kind of fitting because all right, what do I have today? What I have today is I'm not feeling it, but what I have is my trading, my So let's just go for it. So so I sang, and Duncan Sturt was there of our casting, and the casting associate was Patrick Maravilla, who is also Filipino. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So that was great to see. I was like, okay, there's I haven't met him before then, but you see a Filipino face down the street and you immediately feel
connection.
A connection,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I sang, and then they were like, could you sing something else? So I was looking through my book. A book is a collection of songs that we have for auditions. And I kept going through the book, and they were like, no, sing something else. No, not that. No, not that. No, not that. So I was getting really anxious.
Yes.
Finally, I was like, well, I have Heaven's Light from Hunchback of Notre Dame, and sing that. But like, I just learned it, so sing it behind the pianist. So I was like, okay, like I don't know this song that well, but like I was just singing it, and then I liked it. I didn't hear from them for another like couple of months, and then they released the press release for the new members who are joining the show. Max Clayton as Fred Casey and Max Van Essen as Billy Flynn. So I thought, well, I guess I didn't get it. I guess that's it. But then they called me for a work session. It was very fast. And then 3 days before Christmas, they told me that I got it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was a great Christmas gift.
How did you feel?
I was walking down, I think, around Union Square when my agent called me. And I didn't feel... I didn't allow myself to feel like... Of course, it was exciting, but like... it was just so unbelievable at the time. So I was like... until the ink is dry on the contract, I didn't want to celebrate. If that makes any sense. Because it's almost unbelievable. Like 5 years ago, I was just in like the Philippines and like, you know, and then now I'm gonna be on Broadway.
Broadway, major role.
Major role.
Yes.
Yeah.
And no Asian has played that role.
Well,
Amos
yes,
Hart.
no Asian has played that role. Well, Filipino at least. I'm not sure about Asian, but definitely first Filipino. But when I looked at the cast, and there are already like 2 Asians there already in the cast. Yeah, the Mama Morton is a Korean American named Lily Thomas, and Christine Faith Wee was also joining the cast, who is also like Asian, and I'm missing one more. There's another Filipina American actually, Christine. I forgot her name.
Yes,
oh no,
yes.
she's gonna kill me. Yeah, but like Kristen, she's also Filipino American. So like, oh man, like it was great to have like so much Filipino representation in that show.
Yes.
And Chicago has been pretty good about like blind casting.
Yes,
They've been like, yeah.
Yes, whoever can fit that role.
Oh yeah, completely.
Yes.
And so it was. I felt right at home.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. We were there. You know, my executive producer and communications director, Loida Nicolas, invited me. So we saw you on your first day. And you know what? As I was watching you do the cellophane role, I had tears in my eyes. So how did you get into that role of Amos?
Oh wow.
How could you communicate that? Yeah, because it hit me.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Amos is the husband of Roxy, who is the main character in Chicago,
Right.
which is the scene in a Chicago prison of all women accused of murder and not waiting for their court case. And Amos is the husband.
Right.
Well, let's say the innocent husband of Anna, and that's what Red is doing.
Yeah, but it's about murder and murderers, but like it's actually a really fun show. I just wanted everybody to know.
It's a fun show. You'll never think
it's a musical comedy. Well, how did I get into that? Well, they keep telling me that like Amos is the heart of the show. He's the only one that's actually kind of not out to get anything for himself. And like, so he's in this like sea of like really like terrible people.
Venal, wicked.
Yeah, they're wicked. Like they're like villainous. They're they're all like, So he's the only one that's actually kind of like, he's the light, and it's in his name, Amos Hart.
Who has a heart? Yes,
Yeah,
Amos
exactly.
Hart,
Yeah. And I also couldn't like deny the fact that I'm Filipino playing the role. So like I wanted to bring some of that in. So I love
Very forgiving.
He's very
Yes,
forgiving,
yes, yes,
but
yeah.
also he's very he's very much put upon. Like
Put upon,
he's like
yes, yes.
his song Cellophane is about him not being seen,
Yes.
and not being like
Yes.
not having a voice,
Yes.
which I think I guess like immigrants kind of can relate to that a little bit, to just being like always on the wayside. And like this is set in the 1920s, and I was like, how can I like justify being here like a Filipino in this, like. And then I looked at the history, and in the 1920s the number of immigrants from the Philippines ballooned from 500 in the 1920s. There were like over 5,000 Filipinos in like. So I was like, okay, that's a way in to the characters. Like, okay, I am here. Like, I am the voice of that the immigrants doing things back in the 1920s. Oh, of course, this is me as an actor, like reading into it too much. But like, it's a musical comedy. It's actually really
no, but it hit.
Yeah.
It
Right.
hit.
Yeah,
Yeah, as you were singing the song, it hit. So that
Right.
was excellent.
Yeah. And then in the 1920s, like I was looking at like Larry Itliong, like the strike of the Filipinos, the worker strike, and then the Filipinos, like them finding their voice. And I was like, I wanted to mirror that. I wanted to kind of like, so you see him just kind of like smiling through everything, just taking every, all the hits.
All the hits, yes.
And then in Cellophane, you see him kind of like all of that pent up like rage and joy about just being himself, and like you see it kind of like he lets loose.
Yes.
And that was my on a personal level, that was like my arc of like how I see the character. Yeah.
No, it was very good. It was
I'm glad.
fantastic.
Thank you.
All right, so now I want to ask, of all the things that you could be, how did you choose to be an actor?
I
From the very beginning. I mean,
Right.
you must have liked this even when you were small, or you were a
completely.
child.
Well, both my parents were musical theater actors. They used to work at the Metropolitan Chorus in the Philippines. So they were musical theater actors. My grandmother was a music teacher, choir director. So like we were kind of like raised in a very musical family. And then my school, my high school, the grade school, high school, Christian Academy of Manila, of which your executive producer Loida Nicolas also went to. It's a very musical thing. So I guess there's kind of like I couldn't escape it. Like even though my parents kind of tried to discourage like me and my brothers from like going down this path, because they said it was like it's hard, it's a difficult path, but we just couldn't fight it. And now everyone in the family, like they're back in performing. My brother is a pop star in the Philippines. Like I had a friend who jokes that like, oh yeah, musical theater performing, that's a family business of Red's family. It's like, because we're all performers. We just couldn't like escape it.
So it's almost like you're in your DNA.
Kind of.
Yes,
Yeah, we
yeah.
really tried. I mean, I almost became a scientist. Like I took the Department of Science and Technology in the Philippines, the scholarship exam. But like,
And you passed.
and I passed. And so my parents were like, well, I guess you're going to have to do it. Like, but then I found a scholarship for musical theater in Singapore. So I was like, Mom and Dad, like they're both scholarship. I'm taking this one.
Wow, so Singapore found you.
They did. I went to LaSalle College of the Arts. We were like the inaugural musical theater batch. And so there were 3 Filipinos in that batch.
Who went to Singapore.
Who went to Singapore, and we had some from New Zealand and Australia. So I went there for a little bit. I didn't finish because like, it was a scholarship for like, we got a scholarship for the tuition, but like everything else was like,
Yes.
I had to like,
You have to earn it.
You had to,
Board and lodging.
and like, musical theater, like if you're going to school for that, it's actually not a cheap thing, because you need shoes, you need like ballet shoes, you need tap shoes,
Makeup.
you need makeup, you need like, your score, you need to like find, it's a lot of money. So like I didn't finish, but like I went back to Manila and I just started working.
Working in musical theater.
In theater with Repertory Philippines. There's a lot of like talent and like and the breeding ground for like musical theater and theater actors in the Philippines is actually very, very rich.
That's good. That's good to know.
Yeah, and I think that's the reason why you got Leia and Monique
that's
Wilson
right. That's
and
true.
like all these people who have been bred in like the Philippine theater scene
That's
are making
good.
it big, and including me.
Yes, yes.
Because there's a lot of like
Talent. Yes.
and training in the Philippines.
In the Philippines, yeah. What would you say is your first break where you said, I did it?
Oh gosh.
Aside from, of course, the Chicago is the big break. This is the big break.
Right.
But where would you say is like, they recognize me? Meaning international. You were in theater in the Philippines, so they know you there.
Right.
So where was the first international?
Miss Saigon.
Miss Saigon.
Miss Saigon.
Yes.
Yeah. So I did the UK tour, UK
In
and
London.
Ireland tour in the UK. And then they moved
How
me.
did they find you?
That was another open call. That was another open call
In the Philippines?
In the Philippines, they always go to the Philippines because they know that there's always talent there. So every time,
And we speak English.
and we speak English, and like we have like an affinity to musical theater that like is very like unique to us.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I think music is in the Filipino DNA.
Yes,
We're like
yes.
singers, and we're actually kind of known for it. Like even here in the US, like when they say a Filipino, it's like, what are you drinking in the Philippines that everyone is a great singer? It's like you have like videoke machines everywhere, like down the street, and like
Yes.
yeah,
We're happy people.
we're happy people,
Yes,
and I
yes,
think that translates very well into music, and like, yeah.
So when you did that open call, again, you sang, and then they said, come in.
Oh yeah, that's
So-
actually my third time. That was my third time
Third time to be.
to audition for Miss Saigon.
For Miss Saigon?
Yeah, I would always get a call back, and I would always get a call back for an ensemble role.
Yes,
So when they
yes.
called me back for the engineer, which is like
Wow, engineer, my
the one-
goodness.
like so you have
Yes.
like Kim and
American
engineer.
dream.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
I was like, "Are you sure? Is this a mistake?" I thought there was some kind of clerical mistake when I got the email that I'm called. But yeah, I guess you grow into roles,
Yes,
and
So you were engineer in London
on the UK tour,
On the UK tour,
UK
yes.
and Ireland tour.
and Ireland too.
Yes, in Ireland. And halfway through that the second year of the contract, they asked me, I got a call. We were in Bristol. I got a call from Thomas Schoenberg, who is one of the executive producers. And they're like, do you want to do the US tour?
So you came to the US?
So I was like,
Wow.
I was like playing it coy. I was like, I'd have to think about it. You'd have to talk to my agent. But of course I was going to say yes. Like, why wouldn't I? So that brought me to the US.
United States.
I did the US tour also as the engineer. Yeah.
How did you now give us, how did you get that, the character of engineer? Because he's at the same time funny and also, very crafty.
How did the engineer? So
How did you
yes.
get that,
Right.
Yes,
so
the character.
for those of you that don't know, the engineer is he owns a bar / house of ill repute in Vietnam. That's a good way to put it, right? Like where Kim works, in Vietnam during the Vietnam War, and he basically he deals all the contraband things for like the American GIs at the time. So he's very crafty and he's very like. But I got into that. I really wanted to. A lot of people think that like the engineer in Miss Saigon is a villain.
A villain,
But
yes.
he's villainous, but like if you really think about it, there's nothing like he does villainous things, but I as an actor I can't think of him as a villain to play him right. So I just started to think like what could inform the character, like where is his core, and I think it stems from like a powerlessness that he feels from being a victim of war and a victim of like the circumstance. And while Kim has like the innocence and the purity that, you know, and the love that she held on to, the engineer didn't have that. So he was looking for a source of power. And so he found like a kingdom. He built a kingdom where like he could dole out like, you know, contraband things with, you know, and so that's how he found his power. And that's how he learned to maneuver in the world, by like deceit and by like thing. But like it ultimately corrupts him. Like I think American Dream is how capitalism has corrupted people, and like how like, you know, if you go too much down the road of that, how it like ultimately like destroys you. And like I had like people who come up to me, and even like, you know, when during the US tour, and they were like, this is the first time that I actually felt like gross watching American Dream.
Wow.
And I was like, yes, because that's exactly what I was trying to do. I didn't want it to be like it's a huge spectacle thing, but like spectacular thing, it is a spectacle, but like I wanted you to sit there and kind of like squirm in your seat, like watching it. It's like, this is very uncomfortable. So
because that quality is also in all of us.
Oh yeah,
yes,
it's very easy.
You know,
to
we
like,
could move on that side and become wicked.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
guess that's also what Chicago is about. Like how like just a little nudge could like throw you off the deep end, right? But thankfully Amos Hart doesn't like go down the deep end. Yeah. So very different from The Engineer. Yeah.
Congratulations. That's
Thank you.
excellent. Now,
Yeah.
when you hit the audience, that means you have actualized that character within you.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's the goal. That's a goal.
Yes,
Because otherwise
yes.
we're just singing and dancing.
Yes,
you know? Yeah.
that's right. So after, what happened then? Because I didn't hear you I didn't hear you for a while.
Yeah.
What happened to that role?
You mean
In Miss Saigon, you were engineer,
yes.
American tour. So what happened after that?
What happened?
Yes.
The pandemic. The panini.
Everything stopped.
Everything stopped. So we had another 8 months, I think, and we were supposed to go to Canada, and we were supposed to go to like all of Florida, you know. But the pandemic hit, so they were like, "Oh, we're gonna go take a 2-week break. Everybody just like go, you know, enjoy yourselves for 2 weeks," because like everybody thought it was gonna be done in 2 weeks, right? So I decided to go to LA because I thought if I was gonna be sick, at least I have friends and family there. And then 2 weeks became 4, and then it became like finally they were like, "Oh, we don't know when this is ending, so we're going to
Release you.
Yeah, release you. Yeah, we're gonna end the tour here." So I was I decided to stay in LA because I was already there. I've kind of like I have a very like whack-a-mole, tumbleweedy way of dealing through life. So I was like, I'm in LA, so let's just stay here. So I stayed there for like 3 years, and then
How did you survive?
I got an agent there, and then I worked at like a restaurant. I worked at like I was very happy to be like, because you hear about actors working at a restaurant, doing a day job, and then auditioning. I was like, I'm actually doing it. This is like the
It's a bread and butter.
The bread and butter.
When the job is not there
Right.
yet, you have to
Yeah.
pay the rent.
Exactly.
You have to go to the supermarket.
Right. It's just, and I felt like what, like all these movies that I like, like, what am I saying? Like Fame, or like all these movies about actors who are like working at a diner and then going to like the auditions. It's just like, oh, this is, I'm actually doing it, which I felt very good about. Like, honest work is honest work, I feel. So I did that. And then after 3 years, I was like, oh,
and the pandemic is over,
and
more
the pandemic
or less over.
is more or less over. And I tried to do the film and TV thing there. And I did a few commercials, but like nothing was like hitting. Nothing was like, and then my agent dropped me in LA. So I was like, okay, cool. But a few months before that, I got a call back and they flew me into New York, and I got a call back for Here Lies Love. I don't know if I can say that. But yeah, Here Lies Love.
It's Here Lies Love is a very immersive. You are like in a disco,
right?
The entire time, regarding the story of Imelda Marcos and all of that stuff.
Right.
Yes.
So I got a call back for that, and they flew me in. And as I was walking down New York, I was like, maybe I'm in the wrong city. Maybe I'm in, like, my friends have been trying to convince me that I should be in New York, but like maybe I was in the wrong city. Yes, your executive producer, Loida Nicolas, has always tried to convince me to move to New York. So like finally I was like, maybe I'm in the wrong city. And sometimes it's just about being in the right place, being around the right people, and like just taking the plunge, right?
Yes, but being the right place, being the right people, and having the talent.
Yeah, having
you have to have it within you, because if you're not ready, nothing will happen.
Completely.
So
you gotta meet the opportunities where they are.
That's
with,
it.
Yeah.
Yes.
But so I decided to shake it up, and I moved to New York, and then 6 months later, I'm on Broadway.
On Broadway in Chicago,
with a different agent who is working really hard and like who seems to love me. So I'm like, sometimes it's just really being in the right place, and like, yes, you bloom where you're planted, but I mean, we're also not like trees. We can move around, and so if like the situation is not working out for you, and then when my agent dropped me, it did really feel like
a certain freedom.
But there is a freedom to that,
Yes,
where you have
yes.
like, oh, well, okay, well, I have nothing to lose now, so you might as well just like go and do what you want.
Take the plunge.
Take the plunge.
Yes. So this is a lesson, all right? For everyone out there, when there is an opportunity, seize it. Okay? Don't say, I'm not ready, because once you say that, you're dead.
Right.
Meaning to say, you already defeated your own mind. All right? So that's what Red did. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been 2 weeks now. And how are you feeling with these 2 weeks? 2 weeks or 3 weeks that you have been... his name is above the fold, right? It's in the above Chicago, in here. And that means he is qualified to be in the Tony.
Well, not anymore. Not anymore. If I had originated the role, then I would have. But like,
yes.
But yeah, even it's great. Like the response is great, and like the cast is fantastic.
And how many of you are there for the first time? I mean, not first time. Meaning to say, there seems to have a change. Like a Flint is now somebody. Yeah. So how many have you changed?
Last Monday, we just opened with our new Roxy, Ariana Maddox, and she is incredible. She is killing it. She's hilarious. It's, so that was a great influx of like energy. Like it was, her opening night was electric. Also, they also like to bring back actors who've played it before. So now Amra Faye Wright, who's played Velma before, is now also back. And so it's incredible. It's like they say that like when you're in the Chicago family, you can't leave. Like they will always like bring you back and like So I'm very happy to like be part of it.
Okay. Yes. So Chicago has been around for almost 25 years, but with this one, it's a new play. Okay, new energy. So for those who have not seen it or have seen it like I did 25 years ago, it's something new. And the choreography is just incredible.
Oh, it's beautiful, right? It's incredible. I wish I did more, but like I get the privilege to like sit in the wings and like watch them do it. It's
Yes,
really fantastic.
Yes, they're very good. Yes.
And there's like 4 Asians in the cast right now, so that's like incredible. Support
Yes.
your Asian talents.
Yes, yes, yes. All right. What would you give as an advice to anyone watching there who has that inkling as you have when you were small, when you were young, to continue with singing and performing?
Right.
Yes, to that young man or woman out there.
I would say that like don't be afraid to bring yourself and your heritage and into the room with you, into like your characters, into your like performance, because like our stories as immigrants, as Asian Americans, as like third,
Brown.
second generation brown people of color, they're all valid, and they can only serve to enrich your performance. Like this heritage that we have is unlike anyone else's, and it can only like inform your character, your performance in a different way that like another person might not be able to. So don't apologize for it. Like bring it to the forefront, and that's what's gonna make you stand out, I think. Yeah.
All right, everybody heard it. The inimitable Red Concepcion. And please see him in Chicago. Yes. Thank you. Thank you very
so
much.
Thank you.
I think we might have some questions from the internet. Okay. From Angela N. Well, this is a little personal. How is your love life? Salamat, Angela.
Angela, right now it's a big fat 0. So like I'm like focusing on my career. No,
That's good.
I don't know. Again, I just moved here to New York. It's like I'm still figuring out how to date in New York. If you have any suggestions and comments about how to date in New York, just put it in the comment section. Like I would love to read it because I really have no idea.
Yeah. But this is again a lesson. You're starting anew. Focus. First things first. It's your
Right,
career.
yeah.
Okay, so love life will come later.
Yeah, I'm waiting for that New York moment, when I'm walking down the street with like my groceries and then you just bump into someone. It's like, oh, yeah, that's that.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, where's my New York moment? No, yeah, I'm
Yes.
waiting.
No. Very good. Very good question. All right. The second question is, okay, this is from Danielle V. I am an aspiring actor. Where would you advise me to go, to Los Angeles or New York?
You know what? I would advise you to go wherever you feel comfortable, because now with the world of self-tapes and the internet, you could be anywhere that you are. You could be in LA and sending self-tapes to New York, or you could be in New York and sending self-tapes to LA. I guess my question is, what do you want to do more of? Do you want to do theater or do you want to do film more of? Because like traditionally, New York is a theater city. This is where Broadway is. And, although there are shows that are being shot here and filmed here, if you wanted to do musical theater, if you wanted to do theater, I would say that you should lean more to New York, because you don't have to be, but like it really helps to be in the room, in the audition room, in person, because theater is an in-person medium. So if you want to do theater, I would advise you to lean more towards New York than LA. But there's also like a great theater scene in LA. But traditionally, that's what they would tell you. If you're film and TV, you go to LA. If you're a theater, you go to New York. But there's also like a big film and TV industry in Chicago and in Atlanta. So you could also look into that.
Yes. Okay. This is my question. How important is an agent?
How important is an agent? They're great. There are some rooms that you can't get into without an agent. But there are EPAs and there are ECCs, and if you're non-union, you can still go to the EPAs and the ECCs, and you just have to wake up early and go. There are ways around it. Although an agent is really, really helpful, because it's great to have someone to advocate for you, to fight for you in the rooms that you can't get into, just to get even a spot. That's the beauty of an agent. And if you can find an agent who really wants to build a career with you, I would say, and not just find you the next job, go find one.
And how expensive are they?
They don't earn if you don't earn. So
okay.
they just get a cut of your earnings.
Yeah. Is it 15%, 20%?
It depends on your agent. That's a good thing about them, because that's why they're going to push for you, because they're not gonna eat if you don't eat. That's that's how it works. So if you find an agent that is asking you to shell out money, that's a scam.
All right.
Yeah.
You heard it. You heard it from Red.
Yeah.
All right. All of those aspiring actors out there. And would you say, unless you love it, it's going to be tough because it's hard work?
Yeah, it is hard work. Mm-hmm. But then again, I feel like everything is, everything that you're passionate about is going to be, there's an element of hard work in there. But I mean, it's fun. It's great. It's a great job. It's there's nothing better than, for me at least, than entertaining people and spreading a message through the medium of theater. So I'll try to do it as long as I can.
All right, so you heard it here. Yes, use your head, but follow your heart.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much, Red.
Thank
Wonderful.
Thank you
for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So this is the Loida Lewis podcast. Live, love, laugh, and learn with me. Thank you very much.
The Loida Lewis podcast, hosted by Loida Lewis, is produced by the creators of Over a Glass or Two, Jesse and JV. Executive produced by Loida Nicolas Lewis. Rate and review us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts for a chance to be featured on a future episode. Have a question for Miss Loida? Just email us on askloidalewis@gmail.com. Your question might make its way to a future episode. Subscribe on all major platforms to never miss a beat. Thank you for listening to the Loida Lewis podcast. Let's live, love, laugh, and learn together